Today's episode is brought to you by Viralcast, the first and only completely done-for-you podcast production service. Build new relationships, create a deeper connection with your database, and get exposure to new audiences. Here's how it works. You interview influencers in your market. You start building that new relationship. Then you take that valuable content and share it with your database. Your guest then shares the content with their list. Everybody wins. You get new relationships, you create a deeper connection with your list, and get exposure to new people that you would never have access to. And look, if you're currently mining your database with video, stop. Audio is the new reality. We are living in an influence economy. Exposure is the new social capital. Go to Viralcast with a K to learn more. And right now, for the first 25 subscribers, we're offering a 50% off the getting started price. Welcome to Super Agents Live. This is the one place where you can come and hear the most successful people in real estate. You'll hear how these super agents built their businesses, how they stay productive, and how they stay motivated. Who am I? My name's Toby Salgado, and I made my first million in real estate. And I'm your host for the next 30 minutes while we talk to yet another amazing real estate entrepreneur. Stay tuned.
Let's go! Yeah!
Hey everybody, what's up? I hope you're having a great day today. Hey, I got to tell you, our last episode that we did on marketing, episode 240, was a big hit. I got a lot of great feedback. A lot of people like that one, and I just so happened to go grab another master marketer and got him on the show. This guy's a pretty interesting guy. And some call him the secret weapon for his brokerage. So we talk about marketing. We get into some very, very specific areas like Yelp and YouTube. We talk about some strategies that are at no cost, the best kind, and that you can implement today. He gets into some very, very, very specific things around search, ranking and search. Really, I'm telling you, very, very specific in terms of just the simple fact of inputting HTTP on when you show a website somewhere, how that helps rank. So we talk about that. Get your pen and paper ready. And look, if you guys haven't yet visited our site, I would encourage you, go to our site, superagentslive.com. Download my book, get on our list. I share stuff with our list that I don't share anywhere else. And if you're so inclined, I'd love a rating and review on iTunes. That helps the show. And boy, man, we have been bouncing around in the low double digits lately for the business category. We got down into like the high 40s, which is awesome, man. For this little show to be, a number 40 something show in the world on iTunes for business, that's amazing. I never thought we'd get here. So really cool stuff. And look, if you guys are struggling and you want some help, check out www.schoolofprofit.com. That's our little coaching group coaching segment or area or product or service. We try to give people some help at a super, super affordable $99 price. Paying $1,000 for a coach, you better be really good if somebody's going to dole out $1,000. Anyhow, all right, that's it. Let's get to the content. Oh, wait, hold on. One other thing. Join the conversation. You can find me on Twitter at SuperAgentsLive, and hashtag for the show is Unpack That Idea. Let's go. Today on the show, today's guest, man, I'm excited about him. I'm always encouraging you guys to think like an internet marketer. That's where I think a lot of you guys are failing. To be honest with you, you're not optimizing your business because you're not thinking of marketing for 2016, with a digital strategy, with a mobile strategy. Today's guest, that's what he is. He is an online marketing expert. He's been at this for a while, man. He's done some stuff back in the day with AOL. He's an online entrepreneur, has built sites, sold them. I'm thrilled to welcome CJ Hayes. Hey, CJ, thanks for taking the time out, man.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So I know that you have, a pretty, rich and diverse background. But before we get into what you're doing and what your take on marketing for 2016, take a minute and share a little bit with the audience about yourself. I'm always curious about who you are personally, and then we'll get into what you're doing.
All right. Well, I've been in sales and marketing most of my life. I've worn some other hats as well. I go way back to the AOL days, back when, in fact, I still use them as coasters today. We got the AOL discs, and we had AOL and CompuServe. And I was actually working on internal sites for nonprofits within the AOL structure. And from there, jumped right into the Internet when it went live and have been involved in Internet marketing ever since. Now, my take always was I wasn't the guy who read about it, who decided he was going to start teaching about it. I had other businesses that had nothing to do with technology, and I used the Internet to grow those businesses and actually sell a number of them for a profit. So I had this experience, which led me to a point where I met Jim Marks, who owns Virtual Results, and he became my mentor. I worked for him as a sales director 5 years ago, and that threw me right into the real estate industry, where I took my experience, put it into the real estate industry, and then also had many mentors and gurus and leaders out there that taught me about the real estate business, and I was able to bring the two together to get me to where I am now.
Why in the world, CJ, have I not heard about you? I mean, you're the guy. You're the guy that I've been, talking about. How have I not heard about you? I mean, do you just stay under the radar with all the stuff you're doing?
Mostly, I've reached a point now. I became a partner with a company called Agent Reputation back about a year ago. In fact, a year ago this month, and now as moving forward, I've been doing a little more speaking, blogging. I'm starting to write now for Active Rain, and I don't know. I've been in the background, mostly working.
I want to talk about Agent Reputation later, because that whole topic to me is intriguing, because how I see the world. And again, I want to save this for later, but we live in an influence economy. Everybody wants to see good reviews on Amazon, good reviews on Yelp, and when it comes to our reputation, it can be made or broken online. And I think protecting that and enhancing that and optimizing your online brand presence, reputation is critically important. But I do want to save that. I'm always I think if I look at the world of real estate and what people are doing to market themselves, to market their businesses, I do think when it comes to having a digital strategy online, there's a lot of low-hanging fruit there that agents just are not thinking. Most agents have not progressed from an offline world to an online world. Maybe talk about just in general, just having a digital strategy and if it's important and what that might entail, look like.
Well, here's the thing. I'm still old school, and I believe agents need to be old school. I believe they need to get out of the house and they need to knock on doors and make calls and get referrals. I think that's probably the most important thing that agents need to do. On the other hand, I see some old school agents that will never embrace technology. That's just what their comfort level is. But statistically, I believe agents that embrace technology online to augment their marketing have higher earnings than agents that don't. At the same time, there are some agents out there that spend so much time online and being tech savvy that I wonder how they have time to go out and knock on doors.
Yeah.
So I do believe that it's important to have a digital footprint online, because the consumer, when they get your name, they want to learn a little more about you before deciding that they're going to, throw in with you for their house,
or even just call you. You know what I mean? I mean, you're vetted and looked up and down before somebody even calls you. And speaking of technology, and I would love to talk about the specific technology that you think people should embrace. But here's what I'll say. I think people. There's a big contingent out there that are concerned that technology someday will disintermediate real estate agents, or reduce commissions to a large degree. I think it's more that it's agents with technology who embrace technology that will disintermediate agents without technology. You got any thoughts on that?
No, I completely agree with you on that.
So when it comes to embracing technology, like where does somebody start if they don't even know what that means?
Well, number one, before you even talk about online reputation, the consumer, first of all, wants to see that you have a footprint. And a footprint means that you have registered for your free Zillow account. And I'm talking the very basics here.
Yep.
You at least register for your free Zillow account, your Realtor.com account. Some of the other services that are out there will give you an account. Same with, you can sign up for Active Rain for free. Next would be social media. I know some agents don't have time to play with social media. That's fine, but it's still all part of your footprint. Get a Twitter account. Facebook, to take you there for a moment, is interesting because the agents that use their Facebook personal pages within their own personal sphere to develop business will actually get business from that model. However, it's still important to have a Facebook business page because that's part of the footprint. I don't suggest spending a whole ton of time on your Facebook business page, but have the page, put something up there a few times a week, get all of your sphere to like it so that you have the numbers. But the most important thing is that with Facebook, people can actually leave you online reviews, and those online reviews will actually show up with gold stars in the search results. That's important. I believe that. Go ahead.
No. I'm sorry. Sorry, CJ.
No, and so that's part of the footprint. LinkedIn, very important. Have your business profile on LinkedIn. Have it so that when you show up in the search results, people can see that you're clearly in business. Now, if you have a common name, I've had situations where I'll have a realtor. Not only do they have a common name, not only are there 20 other agents with that name in the country, but half of them are within that franchise. And there it's really important to get your online presence going as soon as you can. And there's a number of strategies and things that you can do so that when people are looking for you, they end up finding you. But overall, it's having the presence. Once you have the presence in place, then you can start working on the content and the activity and getting reviews and that.
Right. I 100% agree. And I think you touched on a really, really important topic, CJ, in the fact that, I believe that everybody should have, there's lots of places where, if you are able to create a free profile online, whether it's Zillow or Active Rain or About.me, like that's the first thing you should do. It costs nothing. Just take some time and create that presence out there. Interesting that you talked about Facebook and some of the things people should do and not do, and then you brought LinkedIn up. I'm curious to just know your take on this, right? So Facebook is social media at its core. It's meant to be social. However, the platform of LinkedIn is built for business. Do you see in terms of allocating time, is there more, low-hanging fruit in terms of building relationships or getting deals or whatever on LinkedIn by its nature than something like Facebook in your opinion?
Well, for me personally, and I hate to admit this, but I don't even have a LinkedIn account because I don't need to post a resume out there. I'm going to be now taking some time to build that up, because I'm in this business-to-business position now, to where I need to interact with other peers within my community. But I believe agents should have a LinkedIn account with their business history, because you're going to have some realtors that, for instance, are into investment real estate, and they're going to be dealing with maybe a higher caliber of investor. And it's important to them because they have LinkedIn profiles to see that you exist. But setting up the LinkedIn account is free, and again, it ends up being part of your footprint. I personally just am not going to be spending a whole lot of time there. I have too many people that I can call and reach out to at this point.
Yeah. Well, you're in a kind of an enviable position. You've been around. You have this big presence. But not everybody is CJ Hayes. And I'll tell you this. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I think two things on LinkedIn is, number one, you should 100% have a profile there because LinkedIn just ranks so high. When I Googled somebody, CJ Hayes or Toby Salgado, LinkedIn's going to be like one of the first results. So it's a good way to get your name on results, first page, high ranking. And two, if you're on LinkedIn, I think it's critical that as a business person you get at least 500 connections, so that you see connections 500 plus. Because I can't say I'm a connected guy if I have 35 LinkedIn connections, right?
Oh, absolutely. Especially if someone's putting their focus, a lot of people are looking at your validity based on your LinkedIn account.
Right. I 100% agree. You again, you're in this marketing space. Is there, and you are old school, how does somebody manage their, I don't know, time? Like how, or how would you say I should manage my offline time versus my online time in terms of whether it's actually marketing or building and increasing my footprint?
Well, I mean, some people have great, have this great ability to structure themselves and what they're doing all day. Some people need some help. Some people need to use calendars, reminders, sticky notes, whatever it may be. But I believe that just as you set aside time for your dialing, a lot of agents will pick up the phone during certain hours each day, and that's their dialing time. Some agents will be in the field knocking on doors for certain periods of time, maybe throughout the week. And I believe you need to structure that as well. And especially if you're short on time, you need to make sure that when you're online and maintaining or establishing this online presence, that you don't get sidetracked. You don't watch
Right.
the kitten videos. You don't
Right.
start reading the news. You have a task. What I do is when I get up in the morning, I have a few clients that I blog for. I set aside certain periods of time that I dedicate to that particular client. I set aside certain times during the day that I may participate in Facebook. Usually I'm not even paying much attention to Facebook during the day, but lately I've been paying a lot of attention to like Lab Coat Agents, which is very, very active and growing fast. And that's a group that I love. And I like seeing things as they happen live and being able to come in and potentially comment or offer advice on things. But it's just a matter of setting time aside. I tell agents, they get overwhelmed. It's like, oh my God, I got to do Facebook. I got to do this. I'm overwhelmed. I'm not going to have any time with my clients. And I just say, you know what? If you could even just set aside 15 minutes twice a week, 15 minutes, 2 windows a week that you can sit down and just do the basics of what I'm going to teach you to do, that would be a bare minimum. And I believe it's just a matter of, blocking in that time.
Yeah, time blocking. Well, so it sounds like so. Are you somewhat of a coach? I wasn't even aware of this. You said do 10, 15 minutes where I'm going to teach you to do do what I teach you to do. Is that part of what you do, CJ?
For some clients, I generally coach all of our clients through webinars, newsletters. Clients have the ability to reach out to me if they have questions about something. I'm not out there in the market as a coach. I don't even have really time to do that. I pay attention to a lot of coaches like, Tom Ferry and other people I know, Chris Smith. You learned a lot from him over the years. Combine that with what I know to be true, and I make my presentations. But I do coach. I believe I come in to a client's office, or we have a new client who maybe we've put together a big reputation package for, and I do an analysis. It's funny, Eric Stegeman with Tribus does a thing at the Explode events called the Website Shredder, where he goes in and he'll just tear apart a website and tell these agents live things they should be thinking about. And I do the same thing with reputation. I go in and do a full analysis all the way to noticing whether or not they have their Google business page, which I'll talk about in a few minutes, whether they have or have claimed their Yelp page. And I do definitely want to discuss Yelp because some agents are just scared to death of Yelp. But at the same time, something as simple as YouTube, a lot of agents are not using YouTube properly. And you have to consider the fact that YouTube is owned by Google, and Google wants to deliver search results, and they want to have videos in those search results. And so one of the strategies that a lot of agents are missing out on is when they put up a video about a property, whether it's one of these musical slide interlude videos or whether it's an actually professional produced video, with the drone shots and the whole thing, big key. Number one, in the description, make sure that you have a link to that property page on your website. And you have to make sure you have the HTTP in there or it's not going to be clickable. And that's the very first thing that you have in the description. And the reason you do that is you could have a description that's 1,200 characters big, but you're only going to see the first sentence or two. And people have to hit more to expand that out and read it. That description is primarily there for the search engines. But that's why you want to have the link at the top, and that's why you have to use the full HTTP in the URL so that you can actually, when that person sees the video, they can click on that link and get right to the house. That's one thing. The other thing in YouTube is there's something called advanced settings. When you upload a video, you're in your basic settings. That's where you do your description and your tags. But if you click on advanced, one thing you have to pay attention to is you actually have the ability to geotag that property. You can actually put in the street address of that property, hit search, and it's going to come up in the map. And that also tags within certain tools that are available with Google Earth. And those are probably the two things. There are a few other things that people need to be paying attention to. But number one is a hot link on the very first part of the description, and number two is geotagging that property.
Okay, and that's new to me. That's really interesting, CJ. So I know you just explained it, but dumb it down a little bit. I have a listing. It's $1 million listing. It's 123 Main Street. I'm going to shoot a video. I mean, it could be just me. It could be me standing on the front lawn or in the kitchen talking about the house, or it could be this fancy drone shots in the dusk, right, in sun setting. I go to advanced. Tell me again how to do it and the advantages to that, CJ. Sorry, bud.
Okay, so just to take a little sidebar to get us back on track.
Okay.
Here's the thing: a high percentage of prospects, when they find a home that they like on one of the big conglomerates, they'll search the street address in Google. And they're searching the street address because maybe they want to see a street view, maybe they're looking for videos, more images, they just want to kind of get a bigger picture on this property they're interested in. And one of the things that is kind of interesting is that 95% of the time when I have an agent give me the street address of one of their listings and I Google it, 95% of the time that agent's actual page for that property does not show up on Google. 75% of the time it's not on page 2. The reason for this is some of the big search conglomerates through automation have actually created web pages for every street address in North America in anticipation of one day that home going up for sale. It could be a home that has been in the family. It was a homestead. The family's owned it for 100 years. There's never been a transaction, but there is a page for that address. You can do that. Just look up the street address on your house in Zillow, let's say, or Realtor.com, and you're going to find a page for it, even though it's not for sale. And this is in anticipation of when a property goes up for sale, it goes into the MLS, and then it feeds out into the IDXs and everything like that so that they can show up for that house, so that they can basically capture that lead. So there are some things that you can actually do to show up in the top 10 for your own property, and one of them is a video. And to keep things really simple, a lot of times maybe you have a house that doesn't warrant investing in a video budget. Maybe your franchise or your broker has a free process that's available where it takes images from the MLS and puts music with it with your branding. That's all good. But you really need to control that branding, and it's important that you get that video up as quickly as possible. I had done some experiments a number of years ago with Google and determined that there's a difference between trending news and breaking news. Breaking news means that it's happening now. When that airplane crashed, one of the experiments I did when that airplane crashed in San Francisco, the Korean Airlines plane, literally as the plane was burning, I did a blog post on exit row safety. I keyworded that blog post about the wreck, and for 10 days it was 9 major news organizations and me. And there's some other experiments that I did and basically determined that if you can get to the market somehow first on the internet about something that is going to be going live, you have some advantages. So one of the things that I teach, just to keep things really simple, because when I start talking about YouTube, some agents, they start to get a little anxious. It's like, oh, great, I'll shoot a video with my camera. It's going to be horrible. I have to edit it, which is generally why you hire professionals. But I call it feature teasing, and it works. Feature teasing means that when the day you get the listing, you're going to shoot 3 videos of that property. They're going to be the 3 best things about that property. Maybe it's the acreage, maybe it's the master bath, maybe it's the kitchen. The video, you're not even going to be on it. You're going to be speaking clearly on it, but it's going to be 30 seconds to 45 seconds long. You're going to talk about the kitchen as you talk about the commercial range or the Sub-Zero refrigerator or the view by the breakfast nook. 30 to 45 seconds, you're giving a good description, and shooting 3 of these, then here's the important thing. The reason you're doing it on the day you get the listing is that you want to get these videos up into your YouTube channel, and everyone needs to have a YouTube channel because YouTube can be your new best friend. But you want to get these videos up prior to the property going into the MLS. Now, you have to look at whatever your local board rules are. Some boards you have to get your property into the MLS within 72 hours of signing the contract. Sometimes you have addendums. You have to look at your rules on pre-publication locally. However, with that said, you upload the video into YouTube. I upload video 1 on day 2, video 1 on day 1, 2 on 2, 3 on 3. Simple, a description, a link to your website because you probably don't have a property page yet, and you can go back and edit that. Geotag it and get that up, get that uploaded. Once the video is live, go to pingler.com, P-I-N-G-L-E-R, go to pingler.com, put in the URL of that video. That announces out to Google that you have action going on, that this is a new page that you want them to come scan. And in doing this, I'll tell you, 9 times out of 10, that video that you shot, that 30 to 45 second simple video that you didn't have to edit, that video is going to be in the top 5 of the search results, and that video is going to lead directly to you. And the advantage to that is when you get that group of people that are Googling the street addresses, it gives you a higher probability that you could potentially get both ends of the deal because the listing agent's actually found on the first page. So to keep things simple, like I said, shoot a 30, 45-second video, upload it into YouTube, make sure that the name of the video is the street address, and then followed by your name, full street address. Put in a very good description, as much information as you have, include the street address, make sure the very first thing in the description is a hyperlink with the full HTTP. Use local tags having to do with that property and the local real estate market there. Make sure you geotag it in the advanced settings, which all you do is type in an address and hit search, and it finds it, and you're good to go.
Wow, man, that was crazy good. Crazy good, CJ. So very, very interesting, and I hope everybody, I hope you guys took notes. Everybody should follow this strategy. When you were rolling through that, my mind, for better or for worse, kind of jumps to, black hat, right? So how could I hack this strategy, right? So I go into, I'm doing a listing presentation for a $3 million house. I really want it, but I may not get it. Is there a way that I could, even if, so you and I we both want this listing. I go in, you end up getting the deal, but I've shot this, I've followed this strategy, 123 Main Street, you get it, but I've already sort of preempted you with having the video, having it geotagged, all that stuff. I don't know. Is that a crazy way for my mind to work, or?
Well, you're only putting this up if you get the signed contract. I mean, granted, some people go sideways on you, but most of the time when that realtor goes to his listing appointment and that seller, signs the contract and the agreement and decides to move forward knowing that property is going in the MLS in 3 days, I mean, you're pretty safe. So you only do this if you have the deal. If you have the listing deal, you do it. Granted, occasionally someone goes sideways. And if that's the case, you can always go in and delete the video. But yeah, I don't believe there's any game there. Who you're actually working with or against is, I believe Google's also a competitor of yours as an agent. There's some things that Google did over a year ago that I felt was intentional. Back in the day was a year ago, right? How fast things are moving. Back in the day, there was something called the Google 7-pack. Now, you probably remember, maybe you were searching for a bank or a restaurant or a particular service, and on page 1 of Google, in the search results, you'd see 7 businesses marked A through K, and there'd always be like a little map with little pins showing where these businesses are. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So about a year and a half ago, the 7-pack disappeared for one industry and one country only. Residential realtors were gone. The 7-pack was gone for residential realtors. Commercial realtors, it was still there. In Canada, because we have a lot of clients in Canada, it was still there for residential realtors. But, I mean, it was gone. And this was an equalizer because if you, and we'll get into this in a minute, but if you had taken advantage of what was then Google Places and now Google Business, and you had reviews and you had a website, you had a good chance to possibly show up in that 7-pack. Most of our clients were in the 7-pack. It disappeared. It was gone. And about a year later, it came back. It was around for about 30 days, and then it became what's called the Snack Pack, which is now 3 businesses. And so it went from 7 to 3, and to be in the Snack Pack, you have to have a Google Business page. You have to have some reviews. You don't have to, and people can expand that and see everybody else in the area that has a business. So you take the fact that the 7-pack was gone, the Snack Pack came back. I do know that Google right now is testing a new marketing concept where there's a chance you're going to have to pay to be in that Snack Pack. They tested it with some home services businesses in the San Jose area. I think they probably still have it going. I don't know if they're ever going to do it for realtors, but there's a chance that they will. With that said, when people are in the search engines and they're using common search terms, and everyone's always talking about SEO, SEO is horrible for realtors. It's just hard to compete. There are markets out there where you put in a particular search term, a mainline search term for real estate, and you're not going to see a single agent or independent brokerage on page 1 of Google. It's just not going to be there. You're going to have Realtor.com, Zillow, Redfin, Movoto. You're going to have the major franchises, and it's just hard to be there. So now when you're competing, you're not only competing really against the search engine because of how their algorithms work, and I think they're doing a lot of this to feed more agents into having to buy their ads through pay-per-click campaigns, but now you're competing against the big guns, which is why you have to start focusing on some of your communities and blogging. We're not going to go the SEO direction today, but, so that's basically the thing. So back to your question, with those videos, I don't believe you're gaming other agents because you're only putting it up if you got the deal.
Okay.
If something falls through, you can always adjust it.
And I totally get it. And again, that's great content that you just dumped on everybody. But I was just thinking more in the terms of on Monday, today's Monday, you and I set an appointment for a Friday listing presentation. I go, I shoot a video. Hey, I have enough information about the property online. I shoot a video. I upload. I do the strategy you just mentioned, and then I use Pingler, and hopefully, when I get to the presentation, I go, look, guys, I've already started playing with, scrubbing your property against my database, and if you Google it, I've already done some videos. We're already ranking for your house, right? So using it sort of as giving yourself a little bit of an advantage prior to competing against you, but. Okay, so...
No, I've never thought of that, and that actually sounds like a good strategy. When you go to your listing appointment and your prospect can see that you've already done some work and that you're tech savvy enough to really present their property well online, I think it's a good idea.
Got it. Oh, great. I appreciate that, man. You say that SEO is terrible. Is SEO dead? I mean, should we think about? I know you blog. Should we be blogging using long tail keywords, or is that just not going to work anymore?
No, blogging. I'm a huge proponent of blogging. I mean, I think your two best friends after having an online presence need to be blogging and also YouTube. Blogging's important because what's interesting is when you blog, you definitely want to blog about your properties. One of the follow-up tools that I do is if someone happens to own their own website where they have a blog, or if they don't, then they should open up an account at Active Rain. But with that said, when you blog about that property prior to the publication date, there's a good chance that blog post is also going to show up along with that feature tease video that you shot. I know a lot of agents that hyper-local blog. A good example of that would be Maxine and Marty Gellens in California.
San Diego. I'm here. I have an interesting story about them, but go for it. Yeah.
I mean, they're amazing bloggers. If you notice, they hyper-local blog. They blog about local events going on, charity things coming up, art in the park. They keep that so local and alive that they actually have, when you are doing a search for any event that's taking place in their market, there's a good chance their post is going to come up. Now, when someone's on that post and they're reading about that art in the park thing, there's going to be, I don't know what the percentage is, but there's going to be a very small percentage of people that are probably within 6 months thinking of buying or selling a home. And I believe that if those people are in that mindset, and I've seen the statistics from the point of someone coming in because they did a search about this festival and they came into this realtor's website to read about it, and then they clicked on a search link, or they started going deeper into the site. So that's somebody who is like, wow, look, this is a local business person. They're writing about this festival. They must know the area. I'm going to be in the market for a home soon. I think I'm going to click on a few links, go through, bookmark these people, maybe even contact them. So that's a way to write blog posts that have nothing to do with real estate, but still get interaction from the people coming in.
Right. And it could be, that could be anything, right? Festivals, local events. That could be, restaurant reviews. So let me ask you something, because this is near and dear to my heart. And in terms of being a marketer, audio, right? So you can have, and really what I want to talk about is a podcast and get your take on this. We just launched a service called Viralcast with a K, if anybody wants to check it out. And it's a completely done for you podcast service, podcast production company. And so what we are saying, there's a very specific method for how we're coaching people how to use this, but kind of doing the same thing with audio. So I'm going to write do an audio a podcast. I'm going to talk about this festival. I'm also, it's going to, when I publish that audio podcast, what goes along with it is that blog post, right? Talking about the La Jolla, music festival, whatever, cinema, movie premiere release, whatever. Put that on, take that audio, put it on YouTube, take that audio and blog post, put it on our site, blah, blah, blah. Now, in my mind, I think, having audio, pseudo video, because the audio is going to be on YouTube, and the blog post, I think by attacking this or using, I'm not sure how to exactly say this, but attacking this notion, this concept on a 3-pronged basis, you're going to rank crazy high. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on using audio in today's world?
I believe audio is important. One of the reasons that I love podcasts is that, we're all multitaskers, right? I've got 3 screens sitting on my desk, 2 computers, and most of the time, I'm on email, or I'm doing some research, or I'm building something. And rather than listening to music, I like listening to podcasts. So it's my own lunch and learn. I'm listening to other people. And so I like audio without video. I believe video is important, but now that you can put audio into YouTube, so you can get some ranking there. But podcasts are a great idea. And if you can, again, we're starting to talk about you need to put in a little more time now. But if you can hit your market from all kinds of different sources, from audio to video, blogging, social media, whatever it may be. I think podcasts would definitely be a good thing to add in.
Let me ask you this. So going back to that video for 123 Main Street that you and I are competing against, or just doing a blog post or throwing something on YouTube. And for us, in addition, where we, with our audio, we're not only putting it on YouTube, but we're putting it on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. And I think that gives us some extra juice as well as when we publish a show, we put that on Facebook, we put that on LinkedIn. And I think, attacking it or hitting it from a bunch of different levels, I think increases our Google ranking. But here's my question. Specifically, here's my question to you, CJ. You are, let's say in the market, you are the number one big agent in Detroit, in San Diego, whatever. You're going to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 800 deals this year. Everybody knows your name. Me, I'm not as well known as you. Would it be helpful to use your name as a keyword on some of those posts, right? So for YouTube, for example, right? I'm going to keyword CJ Hayes because, when somebody goes and Google CJ Hayes, I know he's a big guy out there that, I'm using the keyword, but to drive traffic to me.
Well, I mean, absolutely. One of the things, it's kind of interesting. I've had some prospects and now clients contact me from markets where they had been in the business a long time. They had plenty of clients, but there was that big dog in town, like you said, that everybody knows who does all the transactions. And there's just kind of this assumption that, oh my God, that person's like huge. I'm never going to be able to compete with that. And what's funny is when I look for their digital footprint, I'll suddenly see that well-known successful agent who's definitely old school has no digital footprint. And there have actually been opportunities for my clients to come in and have a footprint 10 times larger than the big dog, simply because the big dog hasn't been paying attention to their online footprint. So yeah, I mean, you always want to keyword your area, what you do for a living, into any type of media that you put out there.
Yeah, 100% agreed. And I've even played with with radio, with our radio arm. We have one big competitor that you know who they are, but I've even played with buying ads with his name on it, so that when people Google him, they'll see an ad, but it's for us. So interesting stuff. Look, CJ, you are a guy, clearly, you are one of those people that are on, that you're somehow able to stay on, I hate this word, but, or term, like cutting edge, right? I mean, going back, you were online before online existed, right? You were one of the first people online with AOL. How in the world, CJ, are you able to stay so, ahead of everybody else?
Well, I think the key. I think most of the successful teachers in this industry are constantly. Take Seth Price and look at everything he writes. This is a guy who does a lot of research and puts out quite a few articles. I believe that we need to be always staying one step ahead of our competition. And the competition back in the day used to be that agent that's in your market, but now you're actually competing with some of the vendors that want to, sell you leads. With that said, I just believe that it's all about research. It's looking at trends. It's looking at statistics. Statistics don't lie. If you have access to statistics, great. If you don't, pay attention to the people who do, because there are a number of companies in the real estate industry out there, like, my God, hang out on Inman News. Sign up for Inman News, because you'll see lots of cutting-edge technology ideas coming out of there that are actually ahead of what the market's actually doing now. So that's what it is for me, is just making sure that we have that cutting-edge information, the intelligence ahead of time, to be able to have something in place that people can take action with, when we feel it's the time to launch it.
Got it. I'm going to ask you a very self-interested question. This is for me. We're contributors at Inman, and it seems like whenever we don't do it often, but when we do, they tend to publish. They publish our stuff, number one, but number two, we can get Inman Select, right? So behind the paywall. For us here and building this brand, should we be taking advantage and continually publishing on a place like Inman.com?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's all part of your online presence. And being published on Inman, you can also try to get published on your local board. Write something really good on Active Rain that gets put out in the daily, the weekly email that they send out, or to be a featured article on Page One. I believe the more you write, the more content that you have, the more podcasts you have, the more videos that you've done, instructional videos, whether it's on a national level or the local level. This is all stuff that comes up in the search engines, and it also adds to your credibility. There are a lot of agents out there that started out as realtors and became tech savvy, and now they're some of our greatest teachers. And they have that credibility because they took these thoughts as they developed their systems and wrote about them and got published. And when you have so much published, and then you start moving into public speaking, I mean, people will follow you.
Right. I mean, that's, you're talking about guys like Chris Smith, guys like Ben Kinney, who've not only, they've gone out and done it, but now they've built companies that. So, I mean, you've mentioned that word teacher a few times in this. And you open this interview up with sharing, the notion of that you've had some great mentors along the way. What is your take on coaching? Because I know that you coach some of your clients, but and you mentioned some coaches' names on this, and I feel like mentorship or coaching is a big piece of your thesis of how you think. But I just want to ask you that question. What do you think of coaching?
I know a lot of the coaches. I know a lot of Tom's coaches, a lot of the MAPS coaches with Keller Williams, and I believe coaching is important. I believe that realtors need to constantly be fed. I mean, a lot of times, a realtor will get in this routine. They're old school. They're content. Okay, they know they're going to make X amount of money that year. They're doing the daily grind. That's what they want to do. I believe coaching is important because not only are you hearing about some of these ideas, but you have someone to hold you accountable. So for me, it's about accountability, especially one-on-one coaching.
Yep, I agree with that. Okay. I'm always curious about what does a guy like you read? I know that, you listen to podcasts, Lunch and Learn and that sort of thing, but, we always ask for a book recommendation and here's the setup. And I should have teed you up prior to this call, but here's the setup. I'm an aspiring agent. I have $25. What book should I go buy right now? The wheels are turning. CJ, did we lose you, or are you just thinking?
Okay, I'm here. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I have a book in my hand right now, which I believe is the hottest read today, and I'm not doing this just to give a shout-out to the man, but The Conversion Code by Chris Smith. That's the book I'm reading now.
Really?
Yeah, he'd actually given me an autographed copy of this book at the R4 convention, and I am a procrastinator by heart. I have a book called Creative Procrastination that I bought 12 years ago that's only about 90 pages big, so it doesn't intimidate people who procrastinate, and I haven't opened it up yet. But I was on a water cooler that he did with Jimmy, and it actually reinvigorated my drive when it comes to sales. And
interesting.
And that motivation that I had caused me to open up the book. I still like the old school books, the Zig Ziglars, and I like the old books by Vance Packard, which were written a long time ago about how companies would manipulate people through advertising methods. I think that's really interesting. But yeah, that's the book on my desk right now.
And so for everybody, if Chris has been on the show and, he's a friend of the show, but if you want to go get Chris's book, you can get a copy for free. Just hopefully he's on Audible, use our link, audibletrial.com/superagentslive, and Audible will give you a free download for using the link. CJ, have you ever read, one of my most recent favorite books? I'm always in the middle of 3 or 4 books, but The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. Have you read that?
I have not.
Oh, dude, go
So
get it.
I'll write it down right now.
No, seriously, I promise you'll like it. If you don't like it, I'll give you the money for it. You will, just getting a sense of who you are, CJ, you will really like that book. So again, I mean, you're this guy. Why in the world? I'm always curious about a guy like you. You've been at this for a long time. I'm sure you have enough money that you don't need to work anymore. What drives a guy like you? Why do you keep showing up and doing this?
I have 5 kids in college, so I'm very driven. I'm not making enough money, believe me. What drives me is I like helping people. Sure, everybody says that, but with my personality, I always need to be building something. I don't think I could ever work a desk job.
Right.
In fact, I can't remember the last time I did.
Right.
It needs to be new every day to keep my interest. And what's interesting about this particular industry is that there's always something new. And then you have how the economy goes up and down, and some housing markets are great, some aren't. You have cities that have 10 times as many agents as you have available houses to sell. There are so many different things going on out there that it keeps it fresh, and that's kind of what motivates me. That's how we formed Agent Reputation. We started noticing a trend, which has been spoken of in a number of different areas, but we noticed a trend that consumers were Googling business owners and businesses to look at their online footprint. When, Google is a noun and a verb. And when it's a verb, most people are Googling things because they need a product, service, or information, and they have an intent of clicking on a link in the search results to take them to their intended destination. But now people are Googling without any intent to actually click on anything unless they see something bad. They're Googling the name of an agent, and they want to just take a snapshot in their mind of what they see in those initial search results. I believe that the internet is decreasing the attention spans of people. I think that the more time they spend on the internet, they want instant gratification, they want this product, they want this service. Boom, type it in, Google it, you're there, you're reading it, you're in it. You're not going through card catalogs in the library anymore. And it's the same way with reviews. I was looking at some statistics and noticed on some of the websites that I'd been involved in that not as many people were clicking on testimonial pages on websites that you might think. And once they went into the testimonial sites or the pages on the websites, they were just like, oh, look, they have testimonials, and then they'd bounce right out. And that's why people are looking for the gold stars. And that's why Agent Reputation exists.
Well,
what's important?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, tell people what exactly that is.
Okay, so there are a number of different services that are available: online surveys, internal reviews, testimonials. A lot of agents focus primarily on Zillow reviews. And I think you should definitely be looking at Zillow reviews, especially if you're a premier agent and you and 2 other agents are showing up in the search results. And if you don't have any stars and the other agents have 50 each, do the math. These 2 other agents look a lot more credible, or that they've been in business longer. But what we find is important is that you have a well-rounded online reputation, which means having a Google business page. Google your name, Google the name of your brokerage, your business. The Google business page, if you have one, maybe you set it up, it'll be on the right, a big boxed area on the right. You may find out that you have a Google business page that you never actually put up, and you know that because it says claim this business below it. And that's because Google went through license directories and business directories to create these pages, so you definitely want to claim it. But you have to assume that if the largest search engine in the world has a review system, you should probably pay attention to it, because these reviews are starting to have an effect on SEO. And these reviews, along with your SEO, can get you into this snack pack, can actually move you up in rankings a little bit. Facebook reviews create gold stars in the search results. And when I say gold stars, I'm talking about when you run a search and you see the 5 gold stars, for Yelp and Facebook and Google, sometimes Zillow, and so on. When people see that, oh, look, they have 5-star reviews in at least 4 different places, that's instant credibility. So what we actually do is we facilitate making it where we encourage your clients, your past clients and your current clients, to push reviews out to the companies that I just mentioned. So they can still go through, they go to your review page, they leave a review, they can fill out a survey, and when they're taken to the next step, there will be a video of them or one of our actors encouraging them, saying, hey, thank you for leaving the review. We really appreciate your time. And within 30 seconds, it explains that it's asking them to take one more step. And they're going to see, let's say, Google, Yelp, and Facebook, they're going to see these logos below there, and they know that when they click on one of those logos, it's going to take them immediately to that client's review page for that particular system, and that it also copied the review they just wrote, which allows them to simply paste it in. And it's been successful. We'll have agents that'll load, they upload 400 prior clients into the CRM system that we have set up for the drip campaigns, and usually within a week we get a 25% response. So if you have 400 prior clients and we know that you're going to get a 25% response, that's 100 potential people that have the potential of not only leaving you a review for your page, but then pushing that review out into these other services. And organics is important. And I just want to mention one more thing. I know we're running short on time. Everyone's scared to death of Yelp, and it's because most agents are using Yelp wrong. You never, ever send an email blast out to everybody you know and say, hey, everyone, I have a Yelp page. Come on and leave me a review. Agents are out there are angry because they say, I have 30 or 50 reviews that are what we could say below the line, non-recommended reviews. And I know what I'm going to see whenever I go in and look at those. I'm going to see that the people who left the Yelp reviews aren't Yelpers. They've left one review, only you. And Yelp knows that. They know that person signed up for Yelp. They know that that person left a review for you 3 minutes later, never to be heard from again. Those aren't going to count because that's not organic. They know that you asked somebody to do that. The other thing that they look at is if you have too many reviews over a very, very short period of time, then they know you sent out a blast. And most of those reviews are going to be non-Yelpers. So the key is don't be scared of these review systems or even Yelp, because people are always scared of that one person that goes sideways.
Yeah.
Well, it's all an averages game. If you have 10 5-star reviews, you have a 5-star review.
Right.
If you have 10 5-star reviews and one review that's maybe a 3 or a 2, it's only going down a smidge. So it's a numbers game. The more reviews you have, the more bread you have, the less whatever you have to eat. You know where I'm going there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the key is embracing third-party reviews. At the end of the day, what does this mean for you? Well, if you just spent a ton of money on advertising, whether it was online advertising, postcards, flyers, you sponsored an event, whatever it may be, and those people have your name, you're going to have a greater return on your marketing investment, because you could take 100 people looking at you, and you don't have an online reputation, and you spend X amount on marketing. You spend the same amount on marketing, but you have a good online reputation that people can see. You're going to have a higher percentage of those people actually wanting to do business with you. Yeah.
No, I 100% agree with that. And that's funny that you say that, because this is very something similar to, when we do radio for some people, what happens is that radio adds this multiplier effect to everything else you do, right? So you're on radio, we're talking about you on the terrestrial AM, FM, get in your car radio, and all of a sudden you see, you just heard my ad, and then I drive by your yard sign, right? Or later that day I get your postcard. I mean, it just adds this multiplier effect. So I can see how these reviews, just enhances, optimizes whatever, everything else that you do out there. And we are running short on time, but when it comes to reviews, when it comes to your social footprint, we talked a little bit just about some of the stuff that you can do. But what about you leaving reviews? Now, here's what I'm saying. I don't leave reviews on anything. Now, literally, one. I bought this. I was going to climb. I climb rocks, and so I was going to do this. It was Rainier. I think I was going to climb Rainier at this point. So I do a bunch of research on the internet, looking at the route, blah, blah, and I think I got a good handle on it, but it was an expedition. So I bought this guidebook on Amazon. I buy it, and I was totally let down. It was like $6, $8, but I was like, oh, you know what? I already know this stuff. All this stuff is free on the internet. So I go and I write this guy a review. I'm like, dude, everybody, don't buy this guide because it's all already out there. And for a long, long time, when I would Google my name, because we all do that, we all Google our name. When I Google my name, that Amazon review would show up, on the first page. Now it doesn't anymore because that was 15 years ago. But could you enhance your digital footprint by doing that? Reviewing products, reviewing other businesses on Yelp, reviewing products on Amazon. Is that a crazy idea, CJ?
No, actually, there have been some strategies specifically having to do with Yelp where you would have people, they'd go into a restaurant. Like I went into this Chinese restaurant, and I was really happy, and actually told this person, I said, when I go home, I'm going to write you a really nice Yelp review. And then I gave him my card, and I left the review, and then because we focus on the real estate industry, but we also have some non-real estate clients for our service, and they contacted me because I left a nice review and they knew who I was. I always, whenever there's going to be a good review, I always tell them up front. I try to make the contact. I want them to follow me. I want them to follow me on Facebook. I want them to follow me on Twitter. I want them to know what business I'm in. But it always starts with a review. And I'm really honest with my reviews. The way reviews work for me, if it's a mediocre experience, I don't write about it.
Right.
If it's a great experience, I'll write about it. If it's a horrible experience, I'll write a novel about it. And that's just the way human nature is. And so yeah, I mean, there's some strategies in there. I've had some reviews that I've written for restaurants where I mentioned my company name and we came up, in the search results.
That's interesting.
Oh, one thing, you know how we met a few weeks ago on Facebook was a post I put up about these TV commercials that I've been seeing. And what happened is I saw that TV commercial run in my market, and I'm like, wow, she's endorsed this local real estate team. And I went ahead and Googled them, and they had no online footprint whatsoever.
Right.
And I did this not only for research, but hey, if I hear this radio commercial about this particular real estate team, or I see a TV commercial about the team, and I'm in the market, and this really interests me, the first thing I'm going to do is Google them just so maybe I can see how to contact them because I didn't get the phone number. But when I show up, when I show up on that page and I see nothing or I see something bad, then I forget their name.
Right. Especially if you see nothing, you're like, what? It's like it's an empty suit here. And just for everybody out there, I mean, this is my the competitor who does radio. He does the Barbara Corcoran ads, and we were talking a little bit about that. I get my honest review was they don't work. Don't spend the $5,000 and have Barbara Corcoran say you're the best because that doesn't work. That's not marketing, right? If you want an impression, there's cheaper, easier ways to go ahead and get an impression. And that's my opinion, so everybody can do whatever they want, in terms of that thing. Well, CJ, hey man, look, you are, I wish I would have met you earlier. You certainly are a smart guy. I'm excited to have you in my Rolodex, and trust me, I'm going to start leaning on you a little bit when I have some questions about, what's new and happening in the marketplace. One of the things I always suggest to my audience, if they've gotten anything out of this, reach out, say thank you to you. There's a lot of other ways that you could have spent the last hour, and I appreciate you taking the time out. So where can people find you, CJ?
Our website is agentreputation.net, and on Twitter, and there's a long story to this for another day, I'm Area 51 Test Pilot. That was who my dad was, actually. And,
get out of here! Wait! Tell that story. Well, and by the way, I googled you. See, when we were talking, I googled CJ Hayes. That's it. Now, normally, you've done a good job with this because I googled CJ Hayes. Now, other people, I have to go CJ Hayes Realtor, and other people I have to go CJ Hayes San Diego Realtor. For you, you've done such a good job with managing your footprint. I just said CJ Hayes, bang, you came up, and the first thing that comes up is your Twitter at Area 51 Test Pilot. Tell us that story. I was curious about that name. What is that with your dad?
Well, my dad was a World War II naval hero in the Pacific Theater. Then when the war ended, he went back to college, and then he worked for the Air Force for the rest of his life, and died with millions of secrets that he'll never talk to me about. He was a company man all the way to the end.
Wow.
And myself, I'm on the board of directors of something called the Silent Heroes of the Cold War, which is a national memorial that we built at Mount Charleston here in Las Vegas, having to do with a plane crash in 1955 where a C-54 flying between Lockheed and what was then Groom Lake Area 51 crashed, killed 14 people, CIA, Lockheed, and Air Force. And so our board consists of like Colonel John Alexander, the original Man in Black, a lot of retired CIA types.
Wow.
And because I live in Las Vegas, I get some really interesting off the books tours into the test range from time to time. So yeah, I keep that out there. People know that I love aviation history, and that's how that's there. But so that's at Area 51 Test Pilot. Our website is agentreputation.net. And I'd love to talk to anybody out there.
That's awesome. And look, so just what you're really close to, this Area 51 thing. What's there, man? I know it's just, conjecture, theory, opinion, but what do you think's there?
Just advanced testing. That's it.
No aliens.
No. I have some in-laws that I thought lived there, but well, you and I need to talk about climbing someday, because I grew up in Seattle, been on Mount Rainier, loved to rock climb.
Yeah.
Used to live in Leavenworth and do a little local of it here in Vegas.
Yeah, man. I've done Rainier. I did the north face of Shasta. I did the 37 pitches in Yosemite, the Royal Arches route. I'd love to chat.
Wonderful. Well, this has been fun. Thanks for having me on.
All right, buddy. Hey, yeah, let's keep in touch for sure.
All right. Thank you.
See you, bud.
Bye-bye.
This show is produced by me, Toby Salgado, with help from our research team and production done by Viralcast. If you're building a team and want to make sure you're doing it the most efficient way, reach out to Corcoran Coaching. They coach 83 of the nation's top producing teams, and for our listeners, they'll give you a free business evaluation. Send an email to bubba@corcorancoaching.com and let them know I told you guys to call.
Let's go. Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, yo. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated